All right, just some short words. The festival nominated your directorial debut, Synecdoche in New York, for the Ingmar Bergman Award in 2009. You couldn't come then, but it was close.
Yeah.
So we're very happy that you could come this year. And the reason that we chose Charlie Kaufman for the first Honorary Dragon Award is there's a lot of reasons, but it's for making these scripts that are full of imagination and creativity and manage to, in a very original way, convey both entertaining and meaningful things about ourselves and the world around us. So that's basically the motivation. And actually, I'm going to hand over the microphone to you and leave the floor open for your questions.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Who want to be first?
Okay, thank you. Good.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about your inspirations? Where do you get it? If you're not considering film, of course you can mention if there are films you are inspired by. But
I see. I guess when I'm starting on a particular idea or project, it's at least not directly influenced by film, as far as I know. I'm more influenced by things that are going on in my life that I want to think about. And so if there's a subject that's pressing or an area that's pressing, then that's where I sort of start.
Like, for instance, what was the area that was pressing regarding Synecdoche in New York?
Well, I think that the area was, dying and thinking about death and thinking about aging and thinking about the passage of time and the way it seems to change for me as I get older, how it seems to move more quickly, and fear of incapacitation or illness, or so that was where I was, and so that's what I was thinking about. I kind of wanted to try to capture that sort of worry without sugarcoating it, I guess. Without turning it into some sort of like, it's going to be okay kind of thing for because I didn't think that was particularly helpful.
And any other questions? Yeah.
I was wondering, in the last couple of years, television has become a greater force in visual storytelling, and a lot of screenwriters for films have moved into television writing. And I know that you have worked in television, and you work for the Dana Carvey show and stuff like that. Is that an interest that is that something you're interested in moving towards, or something interested right now?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think I'm probably. It looks like I'm in discussions with a cable network to do a TV series now. So I'll probably in the near future start writing the pilot that I proposed to them. And I'm interested in the freedom. I'm also interested in the idea of being able to sort of explore an idea over an extended period and have it sort of evolve in a way that a film can. So, yeah. Maybe if it gets picked up in a few years, it'll be.
Could you tell us something about what it's about?
No.
No?
I mean, no.
No.
I mean, it's a very subjective, I guess like most of my things, it's very much from a particular person's point of view and that person's experience of the world and how that, I'm trying to be as vague as possible.
Will you direct also?
I will probably direct some of them. It's hard to sort of know. I mean, I think I'm going to end up having to write them all. A lot of times, people will have a staff, but I just don't think that that's going to work for me. So I think if I'm going to be writing them all, I probably can't direct them all. So I just don't know at this point. But I'll direct the pilot.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Yes. I know this is a difficult question to answer, but what are the keys to become a successful writer?
Successful in what sense? Like commercially successful?
What are the keys to write a successful manuscript?
But successful, like making a lot of money successful, or successful?
Yeah, successful Hollywood. I
don't have the answer to that. None of my movies do that. I think that my guess is the key to being successful in that way is to follow sort of the pre-existing formulas and try to figure out like a slightly different take on them. But I'm not interested in that, so I don't do that. But
how do you think?
I try to be honest. That's basically what I try to do, and then I try to I mean, to a certain extent, I write for myself as an audience. I try to I try not to try to predict what other people are going to be interested in. I think of things that interest me and that excite me, and then I'm sort of hopeful that if I put it out there, maybe a few other people might respond. But I think if I don't do that, then the success becomes kind of meaningless if it happens. For me, it's like if I'm just basically trying to create a product to market and it's successful, then then so what? It doesn't really do anything in the world.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Now you're well known and famous, and if you have a script, everyone knows who you are and maybe what kind of stories you write. But when you started, your first script, how was it to get it out and to get it made into a film?
I've been working in television for a while when I wrote my first screenplay, which was Being John Malkovich, and I didn't write it with the intention of it being made. I wrote it to try as a sample, to try to get assignment work, to try to break into screenwriting. So when I wrote it, it got a fair amount of attention. People really liked it, but I was told, and I was brought in for meetings, but I was told it was never going to be made into a movie, that no one would ever make it. So I believed that, and but as I said, I wasn't expecting it to be made. I didn't clear it with John Malkovich or anything, that I could use his name. But then, then Spike Jonze at the time was a successful commercial and music video director, and he saw it and he was interested in it, and he had the kind of the clout at the time to get it made. So it got made. So that's how it happened. And then it was critically successful, which we were all surprised about, and so that then it became easier, I guess, after that for a while, until it wasn't anymore, which is now. So now I'm back to square one. Well, not exactly, but
Yeah.
You said you were back to square one. Explain, what do you mean by that?
I think, the business has changed a lot in the last couple of years, and all of the independent companies have gone out of business or have changed their focus to doing kind of genre movies. And the economy is so bad and everybody's scared, and my movie that I directed, Synecdoche, didn't make any money, and so people are a little more concerned. I've written a script since then, which I've been having difficulty trying to get made. So I guess that's what I mean. But it's going to happen. I'm a little more hopeful now, I think.
Yeah.
You worked with directors such as Spike Jonze and Michel Gondry, and you wrote screenplays that were then directed by somebody else. But now, after having directed your own film, are you slightly more wary of writing a screenplay and sending it off to somebody else to direct?
You know what? The thing is that I never really sent it off, because I wrote both the things I did with Spike. I wrote without Spike, and then Spike Malkovich happened the way I just said, and then adaptation was written originally for Jonathan Demme, and then he didn't want to direct it, and so Spike asked if he could direct it. And I guess the thing I'm getting at is that my relationship with Spike and Michelle has been one of sort of real collaboration, and so it's been a good relationship, and I don't feel like I'm sending it off and never to see it until it comes out in the theaters. You know, I'm involved in the process with them. They're friends of mine, and I think we all respect each other. But yeah, the idea of, I mean, if I'm going to write something that somebody else is going to direct, at this point I really want it to be either Michelle or Spike. In fact, I am writing something that Spike is going to direct. You know, I'm wary of not. I don't know what the relationship with another director would be, and I don't want to give my stuff over. So, yeah.
From seeing the films you've written, it's hard to find out what kind of films you like yourself. Can you say something like recent films that you really like and why?
I'm trying to think. I don't see a lot of movies, to tell you the truth. Things I've seen recently. What's recent? I don't know. I haven't seen much this year.
Or ever, then?
I haven't seen much ever. No, you know, I don't know. I know I like things. I'm just kind of drawing a blank now.
You also read a lot.
I do.
Say something about, is that, do you have like a favorite writer that inspires you in your script writing? Or
not really at the moment. I mean, I can look back and see that I've been influenced by, you know, by Kafka and by Beckett and by Monty Python, you know, UNESCO. I think those things were. Philip K. Dick was someone who was pretty influential. It's more like, you know what it is. It's more like those people, Flannery O'Connor, Shirley Jackson. It's people where I'm surprised that you're allowed to do the things that they do. You know, like when you're growing up and you read someone for the first time and you feel like there's suddenly this sense of freedom about what's allowed. It has sort of revealed itself to you. And those are the people I think have been the most influential to me.
Yeah.
What do you think about Swedish films?
As I said, I don't see a lot of movies.
But so, what do you think about? Is there anything is there anything you like on the Swedish culture scene? Do you know anything about the Swedish culture?
I'm pretty new to Sweden.
Excuse me?
I'm pretty new to Sweden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I don't have anything to
No,
say.
but I was thinking about Ingmar Bergman, because we nominated you for the debut award that we have in the name of Ingmar Bergman, who was the honorary president of the festival, and he, as you, he takes subjects that presses him in his films, and he's not afraid of revealing himself and I think you have that in common, like digging where it's pressing on the hurting spots. Do you have any relationship to Ingmar Bergman and his work?
No, not really. I mean, I feel, you know, in terms of pressing on things that hurt, it just sort of seems like you go where you're vulnerable, because that's the thing that you're always trying to cover, you know, in the world and protect yourself against, and everything is kind of you know, I feel like there's a lot of disguises, that a lot of protections, and a lot of shame, and that I struggle with, and it's debilitating to me, you know, and so I try to feel a freedom to reveal things about myself that I'm ashamed of. I mean, I think it's a very weird thing to be a human being, and I was sitting. I got up really early this morning, and I was sitting in the hotel, looking out the window and at that square where the hotel is, and watching the birds flying around, and just really sort of thinking about how it doesn't seem like birds feel any shame. And I was wondering what that was like, you know? Like, it's just, they're just part of the world, and they are what they are, and they don't worry about how they're coming off, you know? Which is a weird thing to say at a press conference, because this is all about how one comes off, you know? But I mean, that's like that. I think it's such an enormous struggle, for me anyway, to get through that and get to the bottom of that, or get past it, or just sort of feel like, you know, part of the landscape, as opposed to something that's kind of in opposition to the landscape, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yes. You first.
How did you come up with the idea to Eternal Sunshine and Spotless Mind?
Well, the idea of that, Michel Gondry came to me with a notion that somebody gets a letter that says they were erased from someone's memory, and he asked me if I wanted to write a screenplay based on that, and I thought that what I was interested in was writing something about a relationship, you know, as opposed to maybe, you know, a thriller kind of thing about memory erasing, and I have a problem with movies about relationships and romantic comedies that are very sort of seductive, but don't really sort of bear any resemblance to anything that I recognize as real life or my relationships or anything. And so, you know, I find that sort of like, that's a thing that people, or at least my understanding of, is that people falsely aspire to have this thing that doesn't exist. And so I wanted to try to create something that felt like a truthful, you know, based on my understanding of a truthful idea of a relationship. And this seemed like a kind of a place to put that, really. You know, in fact, when I was writing it, I got really frustrated with the sort of the conceit and the contrivance of the memory erasing thing. It didn't really interest me anymore. I just wanted to write about the relationship, and I felt like there might be something just kind of like obscuring in the device, you know, that really didn't allow you to like, or allow me to like really look at it in a real way. But that was my struggle when I was writing it. I was trying to sort of have this very sort of science fiction thing not get in the way of what I was interested in.
Thanks.
Yes.
You've written adaptations of books like Confessions of Dangerous Minds, and you know, adaptation came forth from an adaptation. But it doesn't seem like, I mean, you're better known for your original screenwriting. Is that something that doesn't interest you as much? Adapting.
Well, I think the thing that I've done 3 adaptations. One of them wasn't made. I did an adaptation of a Philip K. Dick book as well, which somebody else made with another script. And I guess the problem I had with the movie that became adaptation was the sort of feeling of, Well, the problem with that one was specifically that it was real people, and I was having trouble fictionalizing real people. I felt sort of an ethical dilemma there. So I sort of why I came up with the way I did it was to sort of like say, okay, well, this is bullshit. You know, what I'm saying is a lie, and have that actually be in the movie. It made me more comfortable. And the thing about Confessions was that it was a lie. It was an autobiography, but it was a lie. At least I assumed it was, so it was easier for me. But you know, I'm not wild about the idea of the thing that I like to do is create the characters in the story. And so if someone's already done that, then the job of my job as a screenwriter isn't all that interesting to me. It's sort of like figuring out a way to translate this into a screenplay. So yeah, I'm not that interested in it.
You talk about relationships in Internal Sunshine of Spotless Mind, and most people have this kind of false idea of what a relationship is. How much do that cause by film? I mean, is that something that's kind of along with that film itself?
No, I think it is, and that's why I thought this. You know, I was hoping to sort of this would be a little bit of an antidote to it. You know, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Even writing movies, I think we're so influenced by movies that we've seen and things that we understand really only because we've seen them in movies, that I find that sometimes I'll write a scene, you know, that makes perfect sense to me, that feels real, but if I sit down and analyze it, I realize that I don't really have any understanding of this except that I saw it in another movie. You know, that's my relationship to this. I think it's real life, or a conversation between a couple. You know, and it's based on nothing that I've ever experienced other than from a movie. So it's a discipline for me to go through my scripts as I'm writing them and look at each moment and say, is this something that I really understand, or is this something that I'm just stealing? You know, it's hard to know.
Well, why do you think films are more real than reality sometimes?
Because it's more appealing, maybe, and it's sort of wish fulfillment, and I'm guessing, and it's digested for you. You know, it's chewed up, and you're told what to think about a given situation in a movie. Whereas, how you react to things in your life is not as easy, I think. What do you think? Sounds. See, it's not so easy.
Yes.
What's your favorite part in the script writing? Is it when you go around thinking, or is it the typing, or?
No, it's not the typing.
Okay.
But you know, my favorite part is really the title, because I don't write the title until I'm done. I don't allow myself that. It's a little pleasure of like putting a title page on it and coming up with the title, and I don't enjoy it very much. I guess the process is what I'm saying anymore. I mean, it's stressful and it's lonely, really, is what it sort of comes down to. I sit in my office way too much by myself.
So you're more into directing now?
No, I mean, I need to write, because I want to have these things that I've created, you know, and I want to be able to think about these things, but it's for me it's a very long process, and sometimes I in the middle of it I worry that I'm never going to get through it, and that becomes stressful. Yeah. You know, and the last thing I did was this movie Synecdoche, and like, you know, I think Philip Hoffman, who was in that movie, has made like 45 movies and directed 3 plays since then. You know, and so constantly I'm seeing, you know, Phil's in this, Phil's in this, Phil did this, Phil did that, and I haven't done anything, you know, and I mean, part of it is because it takes me so long, and so I feel like I'm kind of disappearing a little bit when I'm writing these things.
Yes.
2 subjects that are recurring in your films are memory and identity. So what would you say was the most satisfying memory from taking on both identities as a screenwriter and director of cinematography?
My most satisfying memory of the experience of it. I don't know. I mean, I think the thing that the first thing that comes to mind is when I decided that I would direct it, and decided that I wouldn't be scared to do that. You know, that this was like, that this was an experience I wanted to have, and I wasn't going to let a fear of failing at it stop me from doing it. And that felt to me it felt for me a very sort of positive step in my progression as a human being, you know, and then seeing it through and finishing it and having made it, and it almost didn't matter, you know, what it was. It was just that I did it in earnest, and you know, I got through it, and you know, I barely slept, and I just, you know, did it. It was a big deal for me. It was the same thing the first time I wrote a screenplay. You know, just finishing a screenplay, just sort of like, okay, I've got 110 pages here, and it's done, is a liberating thing. And it just sort of allows you to sort of realize that you can do this thing, regardless of the quality.
First you and then you.
Which one of the characters you made is your favorite?
Oh.
Is it someone you feel a little extra for?
Little what?
Is there someone you feel a little extra for?
Extra?
Oh, extra, yeah. You know, it's hard to answer that, like favorite things about characters or films, because I feel like they're all sort of the time that I was writing them and working on them, and the things that are reflected in the characters are things that I was thinking about at the time. So I don't really, it's like having your favorite year or something. I don't really know what it would be.
So you had a question?
Yeah, it was kind of to the previous question, because you said it was so painful and stressful to write and direct, but you still continue to do it. Has there been other professions you have been thinking of also, or did you always know that you wanted to be a scriptwriter?
No, I mean, I think I always knew that I wanted to do something in this area, you know, either directing or screenwriting or theater. I mean, stuff I did when I was a kid, and excuse me, it took me such a long time to get into it, to make it a profession, that I feel, first of all, I don't have anything else that I could do, that I could, you know, that I could make a living at. I don't think so. So I feel like I kind of have to do it, but I recognize when I'm not in the midst of the crisis of it that I feel pretty lucky that I get to do this, you know. So I don't think there's anything else I would do. I mean, you know, maybe a homicide detective. I like stuff like that, but I think it's too late for that. And but I like those crime shows.
Can we continue?
No, I think we have to stop here because Charlie Kaufman has a tight schedule today, and I think Ulrika needs him now. Yeah.
Okay.